Okay, fam. So we're going over our buy, sells, and dividends today from for the week from September 8th until September 14th. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so we're going to start with M1 Finance here. So we have 96 cents from Appley, $2.30 from TLTW, $5.52 from OARC, $48.32 from NVDY, and then we have $448.59 from TSLY. There was some deductions here. I'm not really sure what they're about. Maybe it's the expense ratio they have on a yearly basis. Maybe it's just an overpayment. I don't know. At that rate, it would have to be well over $1 a dividend based on how many shares we have. So pretty sure that this was supposed to happen. So 15 cents from Beto, $1.40 from WBA, 3 cents from 3M, and 45 cents from HRZN. So that total comes out to $284.04. Just a quick note here, crypto is going up, so that's always a good sign. I think crypto is expecting good things from Powell and the Fed on Wednesday, and we are too. So that lines up perfectly. All right, so we're going to go over the Grayscale Trust now. So nothing's changed in this portfolio. I'm sure a lot of you have been wondering, oh, what have you guys done with the portfolio? Guys, I already told you. If we're going to make changes to this, we will let you know. We're not going to go this long without letting you know what's going on, okay? So we haven't added anything, hadn't sold anything. Basically the only thing that's changed here is the price. So we are still down a little bit, but again, we have no intention of selling at a loss. So we're just gonna kind of let it sit here. We may add some, may not before the end of the bull run. We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, no buys, no sells here. If I'm actually gonna go over to Webull now, and I'm pretty sure I did not add this in here yet, but we'll get to it. So you can see the only position we have is OARC. So now going over here over to the dividends, you can see recently we got $24.76. So I actually need to add that. Yeah, $24.76. So we'll just add this to the M1 Finance number here. So $24.76, and then add it to this $24.76. Okay, so that's what's going on with M1 Finance, or not M1 Finance, Webull. So we did not add or sell anything on there. Webull's more kind of for swing trading, not necessarily so much for investing. We just decided to split our money up because, the whole, what was it? The Silicon Valley Bank collapse kind of made us think maybe it was a good idea to diversify funds into different institutions just to be on the safe side. So that's what we did. So I'm going to go, before I go into the Robinhood stuff, I'm going to go over all the positions in terms of buys, dividends on Robinhood, and then the options plays. So dividends from Robinhood is GUI, AMZ, YBIT, MSTY, NVDY, TSLY, OARC, Coney, MRNY, GPIC, GPIX, XDTE, and QDTE. The buys that we did on Robinhood are TSLP, TMF, Coney, and FIL. Well, Filecoin's not actually on Robinhood, but you guys know what I mean. So it's a native crypto play, so we bought some of that too. And options, PLTR, we got out of the put debit spread that we were in because there was news that Palantir had got added to the S&P 500, and as a result of that, the stock skyrocketed even more than it did with earnings. So we just got out of there. We just figured it's not going to hit our strike price, so we'll just close the position. We added a new position with CLSK, and that was it's a large position. We'll talk about it in a minute, but that's a call debit spread that we added for basically January of next year, and then sold AMZ and Robinhood. So let's go ahead and go over those positions one by one here so y'all can see them. So I'm going to start with GUI. Okay, so you can see $35.82 there. AMZ, actually I have to type this one in because we already got out of this position. We got out for a relatively small loss. It wasn't that much. It was like $300 or $400. Again, we made probably, I don't know exactly how much, maybe like an extra 50 or 60,000 in the last 12 months. So we're not really too worried about a small loss like that. The losses we take are usually relatively small over time. So you can see the AMSI sell here. Obviously, we sold it. Dividend here is $74.03. So now going down a little bit further, Ybit. So $78.51 from this. Okay, let's see. Next one on the list here is going to be MSTY. MicroStrategy did go up massively too. I think there was some news, if I'm not mistaken, that Michael Saylor bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. I mean, if Bitcoin truly is going to go to all-time highs by the end of the year, it would make perfect sense to do it. I mean, if history is any indication, right? So September 9th, again, MSTY $401.52. Okay, let's see here. Next one, NVDY. I will say it is great to get all these massive dividends from the yield max ETFs, but it would also be nice if they took some of the money that they paid out and used it to kind of preserve the NAV, so to speak. Like if they paid maybe half of what they usually pay, I'd be okay with that. But again, that's open to discussion. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Because I mean, again, we have other sources of income. The dividends and the options are not the only source of income that we have, so we're not too worried about how much they pay out. So $346.41 from NVDY. Okay, next one here is Tesla. I do think likely that Tesla are going to skyrocket when the Fed cuts rates because again, Tesla is a rate sensitive stock, guys. I mean, yeah, for most people, even after Tesla cut the prices on their vehicles, they're still very expensive to buy. So that's definitely something to consider. If money is cheaper to borrow, then it should be easier to buy a Tesla at cheaper prices, right? Okay, so we're going to go down here, $23.80. OARC, $24.64 from OARC. So the next two are going to be Coney and MRNY. We do have GPIC and GPICs, but we're not adding a whole lot to that right now. We'll get more deep into that when we talk about the Fed rate cuts. But essentially, I will say this, okay? If the markets go higher through the end of the year as a result of the Fed rate cuts, we're going to pile on heavy into crypto. If the markets go lower by the end of the year as a result of the Fed rate cuts, we're going to pile into dividend paying stocks. Okay. So if they cut and it's bullish and the markets react accordingly, we'll be full offense in crypto. If they cut and it's bearish going into the end of the year, we're going to pile on into options plays and into dividend paying stocks as a defensive move. Because again, there's no telling just how far the prices could go down if there is going to be a bear market. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. So $224.11 from Coney. I mean, history does actually support the market selling off when the Fed does a cut, but again, we saw the opposite happen when they raised rates. The markets went down. Usually when they raise rates, the market's supposed to go up. So I just don't see that as being a likely outcome if you ask me. It doesn't mean there can't be pullbacks. I just don't think it's going to be as steep as people think it's going to be, if there's going to be any at all. So $47.89 from MRNY. Okay, so GPICs. I actually like these ones a lot. Plan on buying more. Just don't want to buy a whole lot more until after the crypto bull run because, again, that's top priority right now. So 41 cents from this one. and then GPix. So 34 cents from this one, and then of course we have XDTE and QDTE. So $26.36 from XDTE, and then we'll get into the buys after this. Okay, $44.56 from QDTE. So the total in terms of dividends that comes out here is $13, or I'm sorry, $1,328.40. I'd like to think that as much work as we put in the last 18 months, we would be a lot further along than $13 a month extra. So that's basically all of the dividends that we got paid here. So we're going to go over the actual buys themselves now. So first one here, TSLP. Again, we didn't really add a lot this week because we're starting to shift our focus more towards crypto, assuming that the Fed cuts and the markets align with what we think is going to happen. So one share here on September 10th and one share here on September 11th. Total share count as of right now is 80 shares. I don't remember exactly how much that comes out to every month. I think it's like around 40 or 50 bucks a month. TMF, if I remember correctly, TMF does pay a dividend, but it's only quarterly, whereas TLTW is monthly, and TMF, TLTW, and TLT are all basically inverse the Fed moves. So if the Fed is going to cut rates, then theoretically the price of this thing should go up. So we have about 0.39 shares here on September 11th. Again, we're just kind of very slowly adding on to this. The TMF move is probably going to be like a 6 to 18 month move. It's not going to be a fast mover. It probably will go up in price during that time, but again, it's not going to be like, an instant, 3-day swing trade or something like that. It's going to be a multi-month process. So Coney, again, you guys can see the buys here, 4.08 shares on the 12th, 4.01 shares on the 13th. Okay, so now let's go over the native crypto position buys. Okay, so Filecoin is basically flat. I mean, again, it's been sitting at the bear market lows, so that's not really surprising. We kind of expect it's not really going to move until we get the alt season. So I got to go back a little ways here. Let's see where that first date was. Okay, so right here, this is the first one. So September 10th, basically 5.48 tokens. September 11th, 8.13 tokens. September 12th, 13.59 tokens. September 13th, 13.49 tokens, and September 14th, 13.5 tokens. So we're basically just continuously adding to this one. We're probably also going to add to some of the other native cryptos as well. Which ones we add to will depend on how much we think they're going to rocket to the upside, and also how undervalued they are compared to the previous all-time high and whatever our cost basis is. The ones I'm looking at immediately above and beyond Filecoin is probably going to be something like AIOZ, Horizon, Render. Again, AIOZ and Render, because those are AI tokens. Those are, in my opinion, going to be very popular during alt season. Probably going to buy some more scale. May even consider also buying Litecoin as well, because it's relatively cheap at this point in time compared to where it usually is when it pops off. So that's Filecoin as of right now. We have I think 4,600 in Filecoins. So, we get a 10-20x. You're talking roughly about 50 to 100,000 bucks. Okay, so Last thing I want to go over here is the options. So CLSK, we put on a call debit spread for $1,000. Basically, the cost here is $1,000. The opening date was 9/10. Closing date is going to be 1/17/2025. Max profit here 24,000. Robinhood, we did a cover call on the 10th. Closing date 10/11/2024. But we wanted to get out of the stock at a profit, so we actually paid to get out of this position. So we got $46 in premiums, but we paid $125 to close out early to get out of the shares at a profit. So that was actually a loss on the options play, but a gain on the actual stock. Mara 9/10 cover call. Closing date here is going to be 1/7/2025. Again, Mara should be probably at $25 or higher, maybe 30 by January. So $125 times 2 contracts. GME cash secured put, entry date 9/11, closing date 9/20. $47 times 1 contract. It costs us 30 to close early. We just decided to get out of it because, for whatever reason, we just decided to do it. So Robinhood, 9/11/2024, this was an at the money call debit spread that we were testing. So 9/11 was the entry date, 12/20 was the close date. Cost us $49 times 2 contracts to get in, and we basically closed exactly break even, so $98. So zero profit on that one. CLSK 9/12 cash secured put. Entry date, closing date 9/20, $25 times 1 contract, $10 to close early. CLSK again, entry date, cash secured put 9/13, exit date 9/27, that's $26 times 1 contract. So in terms of the options premiums, we're positive $229. So the amount of money that we made between all of these on the week is $1,476.11. Now, I actually want to go over here and go up to CLSK and show you guys this, okay? So we've talked about the other call debit spreads that we've done with CLSK. Again, in my opinion, CLSK has been unjustifiably beat down much more so than the other miners. I mean, you take a look at Mara. Mara's at like, well, let's actually look. I think Mara's at like $16 compared to CLSK's at like $9. I mean, again, at one point in time, these were basically trading neck and neck with each other, and they were like at $20 to $25. So the fact that CLSK is outside of the Bollinger Band on the downside, and it's also $7 cheaper than Mara, tells me likely this thing is going to have a much sharper upside than Mara. It's not to say Mara can't go very high, but I think, in my opinion, I do think CLSK could actually outperform Mara. So yeah, you can see up here Mara's $16, whereas CLSK is only $9.40. So let's take a look at the options chain, and I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. All right, so I'm going to go out to January 2025. Again, this is how you would put up you would basically enter into a call debit spread. Again, do not do these. Again, not financial advice, but do not do not even think about considering to do these, guys. Again, it's your money, your life. You can do what you want. I can't tell you what to do, but please do not do these if you don't understand the implication of what you're getting into, okay? These options plays of any kind can be risky if you don't understand what you're doing. So you can see risking $9 here to make $241. Now, if I put on 100 contracts, this is going to look a little different because the price has increased since we put it on. But you can basically see here 900 to make 24,000. Essentially, we paid $10 per contract times 100 contracts for the $1,000 to risk making again $24,000. And if I take a look at the open interest here, it's a lot. Okay, 15,000 at 25 and then 6,000 at 22.50 at this particular expiration date tells me a lot of big money, smart money, and traders are looking at this level at this particular point in time to be able to take profits on. And again, CLSK was at this price earlier this year. Okay. And we saw this before, okay? Small pump and then big pump. I think this was a small pump, and CLSK topped out last cycle at $42. So that's way, way higher than 25. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.